Okay, welcome back. Hope you're all enjoying your week. Today, we're continuing our RBT exam practice question series, where we're going through 10 RBT questions and breaking them down together, how you should think about them on your actual exam. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. If you're looking for our study materials, please check out rbtexamreview.com. We offer 3 practice exams, a task list study guide. Our combo pack is our best deal. It comes with everything. And of course, our competency study guide as well. Any other questions, please let me know. I'd love to help. As always, work hard, study hard. Let's get to our questions. Question 1. After 2 weeks of implementing Extinction correctly and as planned, the client's behavior seems to be getting worse. What is the most likely explanation for this? Okay, we're going to attack the question, right? So ask yourself, what is happening? What is happening in the question? Well, we've been implementing Extinction for 2 weeks correctly and as planned, and the client's behavior is getting worse. So some of the key things on the exam, look for these little phrases which clarify what's going on. So we're implementing an extinction, right, correctly and as planned. It's very important. It's very important to this question. And it's important that you don't just skim over that when reading the question, which is why you should do all your work up front. Read the question, analyze the question, and start to predict answer choices. That way, you're not missing these important words like correctly and as planned, because we want to know why the client's behavior is getting worse. Now, at this point, hopefully, you have one answer in your mind that you've predicted. But if not, that's okay. Let's get to our answer choices and see what we can find out. So A, you're not implementing enough punishment with the client. Does the question say anything about punishment? No, we're working with extinction. Extinction is not punishment. Punishment is not extinction. Remember, we have reinforcement, we have punishment, we have extinction. We're not talking about punishment here. A is out. B, the client is experiencing spontaneous recovery. Okay, spontaneous recovery is related to extinction, but when does spontaneous recovery occur? It occurs after the behavior is already extinct, already extinguished. We're still in the process of extinction. We don't have spontaneous recovery yet. C, the client is going through an extinction burst. Okay, now what is an extinction burst? Well, it's a temporary increase in behavior due to extinction. It's predictable, it's expected, and if we are implementing extinction correctly and as planned, back to those words, and the client's behavior is getting worse, the most simple explanation would be an extinction burst. C looks pretty good. What about D? You should not be using extinction in the situation. There is no indication, no information as to why we wouldn't use extinction. The best answer choice, given the information, is C. The client is going through an extinction burst. Okay, question 2. Let's attack it. A brother and a sister run into the kitchen where their mom is cooking dinner. The sister says that the brother ate all of her Halloween candy. The brother denies this, but the sister says she saw the brother eat 10 pieces of her candy. What type of measurement is the sister using? All right, measurement question. What is going on in the question? Brother and sister run into the kitchen. Brother or sister says brother ate all of Halloween candy. Brother says I didn't, but the sister says she saw the brother eat 10 pieces of candy. What is happening? What is important? What's important is the measurement the sister is using. That's all we're concerned with. And what did the sister measure? She measured how many pieces of candy her brother ate. How many indicates what? Indicates an amount. Okay, we're not dealing with time here. So since we're not dealing with time, we can eliminate duration, we can eliminate IRT, and we can even almost eliminate rate. And why can you almost eliminate rate? Well, rate is frequency with time added. Does the time matter here? Or are we just worried about the count? We're really just worried about the count. The sister didn't say he ate 10 pieces of candy in an hour, or he eats 5 pieces of candy in a minute. She just counted how many pieces she ate. That's what she reported. We're not looking at rate. We're simply looking at a count. We're looking at simple frequency data. It's important that you know the difference between frequency and rate. They're often used interchangeably, but they are different things. Okay, frequency is just a count. Rate, you have frequency, then you add time to it. Your client has trouble walking into the clinic each morning. Instead, the parent always carries them. Your BCBA suggests that you should require the client to take 2 steps the first day to earn reinforcement, and then increase the required amount of steps until the client is able to walk into the clinic independently. What procedure are you using? Kind of a long question. What is happening? Your client has trouble walking in the clinic. Your BCBA tells you require them to take 2 steps, reinforce, slowly increase the amount of steps, reinforce until the client walks independently. What are you doing? Well, we're delivering reinforcement, but we're reinforcing what? We're reinforcing bigger and bigger chunks of this behavior of walking to the clinic until they're able to do that. And when you reinforce bigger and bigger chunks of a behavior, what is that considered? Well, you could also say it's what? Approximations, right? Successive approximations. And of course, successive approximations have to do with shaping. So we're predicting the answer is going to be shaping. We did all of our work up front. We predicted the answer choice before we even talked about the answer choices. Okay. You can do that too. I promise you. It takes practice. But if you start actually going through the questions, attacking the question, and not just quickly reading the question, going through the answer choices, going back and forth, you can get there. Okay. So what are we doing? We're reinforcing successive approximations of walking. Are we prompting? We're not prompting. We are shaping. We're B, shaping. C and D have nothing to do with what we are talking about. We are not generalizing here. The teaching environment right now is outside the clinic. Okay. We can worry about generalization later. Right now, we simply want this client to be able to walk from the car to the clinic. And in order to do that, we're going to shape that behavior up slowly but surely until they can make it the entire way by themselves. What procedure are we using? B, shaping. Blank is more commonly used to teach and strengthen behavior, while blank is more commonly used to maintain and generalize behavior. Okay, so this question's a little harder to attack, right? To fill in the blank. It's harder to predict, which is okay, right? What are we looking for? Well, our first one, we're looking for something that teaches and strengthens behavior, while the second part is something that maintains and generalizes. Okay. 2 very different things, right? So we've kind of got that in our mind. If we look at the answer choices, though, we're really just worried about naturalistic and DTT. And now the question becomes very easy, right? Does DTT teach behavior typically, or does it generalize behavior typically? Well, typically DTT is used to teach. Naturalistic is used to generalize. So now all we have to do is fill in the blank. DTT is more commonly used to teach and strengthen, while naturalistic is more commonly used to maintain and generalize. Some questions, like this one, is simply a fluency check. Do you know what DTT is? Do you know what naturalistic teaching is? When do you use them? Okay. Now, you can always say, well, sometimes you use naturalistic to teach, sometimes you use DTT to generalize. We're talking commonly, right? More commonly. Again, don't skip over words. Analyze the questions carefully, okay? More commonly, DTT is used to strengthen and teach, while more commonly, naturalistic is used to maintain and generalize. Our answer here is B. Which of the following behavior goals would be the most inappropriate to use in a treatment plan? Okay, careful, right? That inappropriate word. We're looking for a bad behavior goal. Okay. Now, what are the aspects of a bad behavior goal? Okay, let's think about the question before we're going to the answer choices, because the answer choices are long. And when you have a short question with long answer choices, you can get really confused really easily. So think about it up front. What are some inappropriate aspects of a behavior goal? We don't want any subjective goals. We don't want mentalistic goals that deal with things like feelings. We want them observable. We want them measurable. So we're looking for goals, okay, that don't have those characteristics, right? We're looking for a goal that might be subjective, that might be dealing with the mentalism, that might be unobservable. Because remember, we're looking for an inappropriate goal. So now we have a plan. Let's look. A, the client will hold a pencil using a proper grip and trace his name. Okay. I mean, not a great goal, but is it observable? Sure. Is it measurable? Yeah. Now you could nitpick proper grip, okay? But overall, I can come in and see, okay, are they holding the pencil using a grip and tracing his name? Not bad, right? It's fine. We can probably do better for inappropriate. So B, the client will remain calm, when asked to hold a pencil and trace his name. That should send off alarm bells, right? You see that word calm, or the client will not get frustrated, or the client will not become angry. That is inappropriate. Can we measure calm? Can we observe calm? I've met many kids who appear calm and inside they're bubbling, right? And one little thing will set them off. Calm is very subjective. Okay. It's a fiction, it's a mentalism, right? It's internal. We don't worry about those. Okay. B is significantly worse than A, right? C, the client will trace at least 6 letters without prompts when asked to trace his name. Again, very observable, very measurable, and very objective. And then D, the client will write his name without prompts at the top of his worksheet. Observable, measurable. Fine. A, C, and D, they're not perfect goals, but they are better than B. And on the test, we're looking for the best answer. We're not looking for a perfect answer. You want the best answer. B is going to be the most inappropriate to use in a treatment plan because calm is not observable. It's not measurable. Summer vacation is coming up and your client's family has asked you to attend the trip with them to continue providing behavior analytics services while they are away. They offer to pay for your trip. In what scenario would this be most acceptable? Okay, be careful here. A lot is going on in this question, right? Summer, your client's family wants you to attend the trip with them to provide behavior analytics services while they are away. Yeah, so far so good. If you're providing behavior analytics services and it's approved, you're doing your job. Okay. Now they offer to pay for your trip. That's an issue, right? We can only really accept gifts $10 or less. If they're paying for your trip, it's going to be more than $10, right? So we're looking for a scenario where this would be acceptable. Hey, this would be acceptable as long as your BCBA approves. While I hope your BCBA doesn't approve, they definitely should not approve your client paying for your trip. Okay, A is out. B, this would be acceptable as long as you pay for your own trip, you only engage with the family while on the clock, and you provide behavior analytics services. Well, B sounds like what? Sounds like you're working, right? B is much more acceptable than A. They're not paying for you. You're not hanging out with the family off the clock. There's no dual relationships going on. And you are doing your job. So far, B looks pretty good. It's better than A. C, this would be acceptable as long as you provide behavior analytics services to the client. Now, careful. What part of the question makes C wrong? They offer to pay for your trip. That is not acceptable. Okay. They can't pay for your trip. It's a conflict of interest. You're accepting gifts. It's unethical. And then D, this would be acceptable as long as you only engage with the family while on the clock. Again, this is the key, right? You have to make sure they're not paying for your trip. Okay. And that you're providing analytic services, that you're doing your job. Now, B is our best answer. Okay. There's still some gray area here, but given our choices, B is going to be our best choice. They're not paying for you. You're only engaging with the family on the clock and you're doing your job. B is the best answer. Duration would be least appropriate to measure which of the following behaviors. Duration. What is duration? Duration is the total time for a response, the total time for a behavior from start to finish. Okay. So when would it be least appropriate to use duration? That's what the question's asking. All right. A, how long it takes you to drive to your parents' house from your apartment? Well, I start from point A to point B. Seems like a very good point to use duration, right? A looks fine. B, the amount of time you spent cooking dinner last night. Perfect amount of time. How long did it take to cook dinner? Duration looks okay. How many times you receive spam calls in a day? What are you doing here? You're counting. You're looking at how many, okay? Not a how long. C would not be appropriate. D, the length of a movie. Duration of a movie, very obvious. This is not a hard question. Not every question on the RBT exam is going to be hard. When you get an easy question, treat it like an easy question. Pick the best answer. Trust your instinct. Move on. You walk into your son's room and see that he is watching Netflix instead of doing his homework. So you cancel his Netflix account for a month. What have you attempted to implement? Well, clearly, right, you want him to be doing homework instead of on Netflix. Okay. So you want to what? Well, you want to decrease his Netflix watching. Okay. How are you going to do that? Well, you're going to take away Netflix, right? Now, be careful here, right? We want to increase homework, okay? But we're not targeting the homework. Just because we cancel the Netflix account, right, doesn't mean he's just going to start doing his homework, okay? Canceling his Netflix account, okay, right, might decrease avoidance of homework, okay? But you have to be careful. You have to break that down. We're not talking about increasing homework here, okay? We're talking about decreasing not doing his homework, right? And that's a little confusing because typically we want to target behaviors for increase, right? We want to target actionable behaviors, but we got to think about what's going on in this scenario. Instead of doing his homework, he's watching Netflix. So by canceling Netflix, we're going to decrease the other behavior, right? So what have you attempted to implement? Well, you're taking something away to decrease. We're looking like negative, taking away, punishment, decrease. It's not negative reinforcement, okay? Just by taking away homework, okay, we're not increasing the homework behavior. We're not targeting that behavior. We're not putting the behavior on extinction. We're not withholding reinforcement. And it's definitely not positive punishment. You've attempted to implement negative punishment. Be very careful on behavior questions. Understand what you're targeting and what you're looking at. The least effective schedule to use if you wanted to work on behavior generalization would be what? The worst way to generalize is what? Is to continuously reinforce. Always remember that, right? Generalization occurs in the natural environment. It's maintained by natural reinforcement. Natural reinforcement is not continuous. So if you wanted the least effective way to promote generalization, well, it's going to be the most continuous reinforcement schedule. So if we look at our answer choices, FR5, FR1, FR3, FR4, clearly B, which is continuous reinforcement, is going to be the most continuous reinforcement schedule available, and it's going to be the least effective schedule to work on behavior generalization. After an assessment, you learn that a client is prone to prompt dependency based on history of ABA treatment. What prompting procedure would most likely be best to use in this case? Okay. We want to avoid prompt dependency. What are we going to not do? Well, we're not going to put a bunch of physical prompts on them. We're not going to prompt for long amounts of time. Okay, we're attacking the question, remember? We want to use as little prompting as possible. If they're already prone to prompt dependency, we need to take that into consideration. So are we going to use most to least? Well, no, because most to least, we're using the most intrusive prompt possible, right? If they're already prone to prompt dependency, most to least is going to continue to promote that dependency. Least to most is much better, right? We're going from the least intrusive prompt possible, okay, which is going to be the easiest to fade typically. Graduated guidance and partial physical both have to do with physical prompting, the highest form of prompting. If we want to avoid prompt dependency, least to most is really going to be our best bet. B is our answer. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check out rbtexamreview.com. Any questions, comments, let me know. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.